Hey there, everyone. What's a man worth? Come on, let's talk about it at the kitchen table. Hey there again, everybody. I'm Apostle R.D. Smith. I am here with you again for the second part of The Secret of Selling a Negro. I told you before I was going to do two reaction videos. One we did last time. If you didn't see that, go into our playlist there and look in our video area and look at that first before you look at this. This one is what is a man worth? Okay, I'm not going to do the whole video because it's pretty long. It's like an hour long, but I'm going to do the first 14 minutes or show you the first 14 minutes of the video so that you can see what points I'm going to make. After that, I'm going to look at one scripture and I'm going to show you some statistics out there just to get you informed of what happened between 1954, when there was a boom for the black family to move into these major cities: Chicago, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri, Los Angeles, California, Cleveland, Ohio, Baltimore, Maryland, places like that. And then all of a sudden, by 1966, what you're going to see in St. Louis, Missouri, you have an epidemic of poverty in the state, in the city. So I want you to see that real quickly. We're going to go right into the video. So just one moment. Give me a second. I'm going to put that on the screen for you so that you can see that right about now. Okay.
Nothing. Nothing. You live with your parents?
Yeah, with my mother.
You live with your mother? Where your father?
I don't know where he at.
How old are you?
23.
23. You work?
No, I'm unemployed at the time.
What kind of work you do?
None right at the present.
What do you do for a living?
Part-time work.
In a slum area of North St. Louis, where 178,000 people live, the unemployment rate is 4 times the national average. The underemployment rate is a startling, sobering 38.9%.
Well, my husband couldn't afford a living for my kids and I. So I decided to change things by leaving and trying to do better here.
Well, they say that the man is the head of a house. But here in this country, that's the opposite with the Negro mill. The Negro mill are the last hired and the first fired.
Quite natural, he couldn't afford clothing like they should have had, and food. So that makes a great difference.
Because for the most part, the man is supposed to be the chief breadwinner. He's supposed to be able to provide for his female.
You know, mother always thinks about what a kid gonna grow to be. If they don't have these proper things, it puts different things on their minds coming up, you know. You never know.
And a social aspect of, theaters, and we can go to the restaurants, and we can go to all of the parks and the museums now where heretofore we couldn't go. But on the job question, we're still just where we started. We haven't made any breakthrough at all. On the job question, we're still just where we started. We haven't made any breakthrough at all.
This is a report on the Negro and the unfinished American Revolution. It involves his fight for dignity and a place in the mainstream of existence in St. Louis. White and Negro Americans live in different worlds, yet neither world can survive apart from the other. These two worlds can be truly united only with understanding within all elements of our society. This report will concern itself with Negro job opportunities. It will we'll attempt to find out what's a man worth. Our so-called affluent society of the suburbs cannot and does not see the miserable conditions of the Negro in central St. Louis. The building boom, business expansion, people moving from the city to the suburbs give the impression of financial stability. Then, too, because of Negroes in sports, in show business, and on television, the impression is that there is a large Negro middle class, and the stability applies to them as well. Finally, with the national unemployment figure at only 3.7% and the city of St. Louis enjoying a peak low of only 2.9, the supposition is that prosperity is here for all.
The supposition is false. For the great majority of Negroes in America, the status has always been of an inferior nature. First, as slaves in the plantation system of the South. Next, as helpless sharecroppers. And now, 70% of all the Negroes in the United States are residents of black ghettos like this one in central St. Louis. As it relates specifically to this ghetto, in a survey conducted by the United States Labor Department, the so-called Wirtz Report, this fact, among others, was disclosed. As late as November 1966, 12.9% of the ghetto workforce were jobless, despite active efforts on their part to find jobs. 27% of those working full-time were earning less than $60 per week, the equivalent of the $3,000 poverty figure on an annual basis. Consider this in light of the fact that the city's population is now 37% Negro. A prediction by the Center of Research and Marketing forecasts a 46% Negro population here in just 3 years. So the impression of affluence and the hope for prosperity is somewhat reversed to the people living here.
They live in poverty now when business and employment are at all-time highs. The non-white is still the last to be hired and first to be fired. The white male who has had but a grade school education is making almost as much as a Negro who has graduated from college.
In the St. Louis metropolitan area, which includes St. Louis City, St. Louis, Jefferson, and St. Charles counties, 145,000 people work in professional, managerial, proprietary, or executive jobs. Only 6,300 are Negro. In occupations which require some formal education beyond high school, the chief employers of the Negro population are the various federal and civil service agencies. 241 are policemen or other law enforcement officers. 1,451 work in the Postal Service, and 2,600 are employed in other government agencies. However, in the clerical field, 1 in 20 is Negro. And in the sales field, only 1 out of 33 salesmen is a Negro. Out of the total labor force working in white-collar jobs, less than 4 out of 100 workers are Negro in the metropolitan area. It is this small group that make up, in part, the so-called Negro middle class. Although the white residents sometimes think that these represent the total condition of the urban Negro, that things are getting much better, the shattering fact in 1967 is this. The median income for a non-white family is $3,622 a year, compared with $6,613 for the white family. A white family makes 45% more.
Now, we are in a bind here whereby you have to make money in order to get an education. Education is expensive.
Right.
Culture is expensive. You have to have an education to make money. You have to have money to get an education. Now, this is the bind that the Negroes trapped in.
Right.
This is Joe Grimes. He's 23 years old. He's married and is the father of 3 children. He's on his way to school. Joe will soon be a skilled welder. Today, he feels alive, needed, an emotion he's experienced only since he started school.
What was it like before you got here?
Oh, well, it was pretty rough, actually. When I got into my teens, it was, well, I'll just say rough, period.
What do you mean? How did this happen?
Well, I was delinquent, naturally. I ran the street quite a bit. I dropped out of high school, started running the street.
What grade?
Oh, I dropped out of high school when I was in the 9th grade, very first part. And I started wanting things that the fellas wanted.
You wanted them because everybody else had them?
Yeah, everybody on the corner had them, you know. So that's what led me to stealing. Then I messed around, went away for a while.
Went away, that means you were incarcerated.
Yes, I was for about 15 months.
Had you passed Joe on this street a year ago, he would have looked the same. It would have been impossible to tell that he was one of the 8,000 unemployed Negro men in the St. Louis area. One of the 26,000 men who are underemployed, making less than $3,000 a year. Or one of the 17,500 who don't even try to get a job anymore. They are not even included in the labor market statistics. They have simply given up.
Was your father in the home when you were a youngster?
Oh, no. My father and my mother have been divorced since 55.
How after you were married?
Well, I got married, I was unemployed, and then after I was married, I got a job. But it wasn't such a steady job. And I stayed on about 2 months, and then I went unemployment for a while, and then another job. Then unemployment for a while, and then another job. You know, and then just unemployment, period.
You just didn't know how to do anything. What kind of work did you do?
Well, porter work, janitor work. That was the only thing I could get. That was the only thing I knew how to do, push a broom. And after a while, you know, those just ran out.
How was your life at home during this period?
Oh, boy. If you want to call it a life, it was rugged, real rugged for me, for my wife, for my kids, too. You know, no money, and we don't know everything we should know about marriage anyway. So, constant arguments. I'm sullen all the time. she, well, naturally she wants companionship, but I'm not affording this for her or my kids because, you know, first thing, I want a job. So.
Did you ever leave home?
Yeah, I left home. I left home after a while because, you know, wasn't much sense me staying there, drawing unemployment. You know, I left home, I went out trying to hustle, you know. I'd do little things, you know. First I'd get me a little bank, so to speak. I'd wash windows or wash somebody's car or something. Give me $4 or $5 and maybe find a crap game somewhere. You know, shoot craps. If I didn't make it that way, I just had to go wash somebody else's window or a car the next day, you know.
To the majority of Negro men in this area, the story is routine. Almost 50% of the Negro men working are in service jobs. Jobs that pay little and lead nowhere.
Okay, we're going to stop the video there. I just wanted you to see, I didn't want to interrupt anything. I wanted you to see the whole thing, what's going on in 1966, 1967 in St. Louis. Now, the last time we looked at this video, well, the Selling the Negro video, they were talking about how great the family was, the black family was in 1954, and how they were buying houses. They went up from $2,000 to $5,000 a year in income. And remember, back then that was a lot of money. So nowadays that doesn't do anything. But that was what's going on, and they were in that video that we saw last time. They were really giving accolades to the black family, their buying power, their credit ratings, their ability to pay their bills on time. But one thing you noticed about the last video, 12 years later to this one, is that the rise of single parenting happened. And you're like, what in the world happened in 12 years to cause a black family thriving? Mother, father, husband, wife, children, buying homes. Third of the population of black people at that time, families, were buying homes. Amazing. To 12 years later, 13 years later, you have this massive influx of unemployment with black men. Now, if you remember another video, they were showing the great cities that were the influx of black people were going into. You had, of course, Chicago. You had New York. Okay, St. Louis is one of them. We just see that right here. Cleveland was listed. Birmingham, Memphis, Washington, D.C., New Orleans, Houston, Atlanta. Okay. These were the country, and I think I said Los Angeles, but these were these cities that were flourishing at the time. But something happened. And I want to go through and show you some things what happened. Now, because of the sake of time, I'm not going to have a bunch of information because it'd take too long. But there's three things that happen, and you can look this up for yourself. But there's three things that happened during this time. The first thing that happened was the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So between 1954 and 1964, we had the Civil Rights Act. Not saying that's a bad thing, but some things came with that. With our proponents back at that time, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, a lot of other people, Jesse Jackson was with Martin Luther King during that time. They were pushing for equality in the schools, getting rid of segregation, the marches, all that stuff, not riding in the back of the bus. I mean, wonderful things that our forefathers did during that time. When my mother was raised, my grandparents were adults raising children. They were doing some wonderful things in society, trying to get equality for the black race of people during that time. And that was a good thing. But something else happened during that time. There was the Welfare Act of 1964 at that time. Now, I talked about this extensively before, about how the Welfare Act put the policies put upon the black family that the black man could not be in the household, okay, in order to receive government assistance. Welfare would consist of Section 8 type housing, and these projects that they made during that time, which was atrocious. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, so I know about projects, grew up around that, saw it with my own eyes, thank God. My mother worked very hard that we didn't have to live in a project, because if she didn't, I'd have grew up in that as well. They had food stamps, all that type of stuff. And that was what I saw with the majority of the black community. That happened during 1964. The policy again separated the family. You saw in one of the clips there was a young lady talking about how she had to leave her husband because he wasn't able to take care of the family. You saw at the beginning, these young men had no jobs. This is in St. Louis at the time. No jobs. They couldn't find work. One of the guys, they asked him, "Where's your father?" He said, I don't know where my dad is. You saw the heavyset gentleman toward the end of this segment of video. He was telling the reporter, or the guy that was asking the questions, that he didn't grow up. His parents divorced in 1955. He was only 23, so he was rather young when that happened. So he didn't have any influence in his life. Most of these gentlemen, and if you go and see this for yourself, they have other things going on and other information that you can see. Excuse me. So there's a lot of things that happen, the breakdown of the family, that caused it. The third thing that happened during around this time was Roe v. Wade. Planned Parenthood was already in effect during this time. So when the welfare system hit in 1964, in the 60s, they pushed Planned Parenthood to come into all these black communities. Remember, there was an influx of black people coming from the South up to the north to these major cities because of the opportunity to buy homes and do all sorts of things, buy good products, all this type of stuff. And during that time, Planned Parenthood took a foothold. I did a study on that about Margaret Sanger. You can go back and look at that video too, if you would like. And talked about how they strategically put these abortion clinics in black communities to pretty much kill off the children. So all this was coming in, and these were government policies that were enacted during the 60s in good intentions to make everything fair, but it didn't do that. Matter of fact, it did the total opposite. And in 12 years, you had at 1954 a thriving community of black people with families, buying homes, making good money, going between $2,000 to $5,000 a year, to where in 12 years they couldn't find jobs. They were in the poverty level, couldn't make $3,000 a year in income, which we know that the cost of living went up in those 12 years. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. But we need to look at what's going on, because you know what? Reason I'm doing this is because I don't want us to repeat this, because this is what's happening now. Our families are torn apart. 70% of our black communities are not married, meaning there is no family there. That means 70%. Upwards of 70% of the families are run by a single parent, namely the mother with multiple children. The men, therefore, are on child support, and there's the divide of fighting between black men and black women that's still going on today. And we have not, here we are in 2022. What would that be? 56 years past this video, or you would say 72 years past 1954, and we're still having the same issues. Or not 72, 68 years. You're still having the same issue. Okay, and it's a shame. It's a shame. 68 years from 1954 to today, 2022, we still have issues. Okay, we're still having trouble. Okay, 56 years from 1966, we're still having the same issues where black men don't make the same amount. Matter of fact, let me show you, put it on the screen here and show you what that is here. So I'm gonna pull this up so you guys can see the earning potential of black men compared. This is from 2020 compared to other races. Okay, so I'm gonna put you on the other screen. I'm gonna show you here. Hope you can see that. This was kind of harder to see because the writing's kind of small. But if you look down here, it says update of 6/20/2022. This is what they're looking at here. And this is again from demographics, blackdemographics.com. If you look at the earnings here, earnings and employment, ages 16 to 64. Okay, percent of who are in the labor force, percent of labor force who are employed below poverty level. So black men are 69% of the labor force from ages 16 to 64, 89% are employed, and 21% are below the poverty level. In comparison to all the rest of the demographics, 79%, 94%, and 12%. Now, look at the pay rate, okay? Worked full-time, 16 and up, worked full-time for year-round, only 37%. Other men is 47%. Full-time median earnings. Now, this is what I wanted to show you. 41,000, this is of 2018, $41,054 a year for black men, and the average for all other men, $52,004. That is a difference of $11,000 a year, ladies and gentlemen. $11,000 a year difference in 2018 between black men making a living and other races in this country. Why is that? What is going on? Why don't we have the same amount of buying power as other people with our income, black men? That's because most black men don't get high-paying jobs. Matter of fact, I work for an architecture firm, okay, and I handle major accounts. I'm basically a manager there. I am a man. I should say basically, I'm a manager there. I'm in management there, and I have a team of people that's are under me that I direct to do certain jobs for our clients. Unfortunately, I am the only in that company. I am the only black man, black or white, that's in management. There are a few black people that work there, not many. I can count them on one, literally, guys, I can count on one hand. How many of it? We're not in high paying jobs. And I was telling another individual, it gets lonely when you're there. But see, I did some sacrifice, and I worked hard to get in those positions and to maintain that. Now, I'm not where I want to be, definitely, but I'm not where I could be. I worked very, very hard for that. And then you get called names from society. Oh, you're acting white, or you're a coon, or you're Uncle Tom, because you don't have the same political thoughts or, social thoughts as, quote unquote, the black community. So I'm an outcast, okay? But I take care of my family. I'll do what I have to do. And I make more than that. So the issue is that we have black men that aren't either educated enough or don't work hard enough. And in this society, you got to work really hard to make a good living. And that's a shame, it's just how it is. I mean, you got to get to a point, gentlemen, that you're going to say, you know what, that's just how it is, and I have to deal with it. I got to put in the work. I'm going to show you another one. Here, let me get this one off, and it has to deal with black families and individuals in the poverty level. Okay, so I'm going to take you back over there again to this screen, and it says here, black families living at or below the poverty level. Now, watch this. This is for black families living again at or below the poverty level. So look at this. Let me scroll in so you can see. Female householders with no husband make up 74% of the families living at or below the poverty level. Married couples are at 16% below the poverty level. Remember, we looked last time that 30, well, you know what? We did not, in another broadcast, I showed you that, and this one has to deal with men wanting traditional wives, showing you that 30% of our population is married, meaning 70% is not. So this is why, and I'll take you back over to the screen, why you have this crazy number. It's 74%. Then it has guys that are in the household with no wife, and that's at 10%. Now look at this right here, the difference of living, let me get this scrolled up for you, above the poverty level. So if you're a married couple with a family, you're at 53% of black families are above the poverty level. Look at this. If you have one female provider in that family with no husband, they're only 37% above the poverty level. And if you only have, and this is amazing, a male, this is the disparity of pay. A male household guy with no wife, there's only 10% of him above the poverty. What in the world is going on there? That is ridiculous. So again, the black man does not have the buying power, does not have the money. He's not making the money. Most of the money, the work that a black man does is not menial, but it's labor work. And and I've seen it, and it's so irritating to me to see black men like that, because I know black men are smart, intelligent, but they don't believe it because how society has treated them for so long. And I got one more I'm gonna show you. Oh my gosh, and this is crazy. Well, you know what? I don't have to show you that one because I just showed you the other. That is just amazing to me. And my endeavor, ladies and gentlemen, I have another channel. It's for men, all men, black, white, doesn't matter, Hispanic. That I deal with men's health, relationships, and fashion. Guys, you can go to that one if you want to. It's called RD Smith, so you can get on that channel. And I talk about a lot of more specific things than I do on this channel. This channel deals basically with social and political stuff. That deals with a lot more personal things, grooming and things of that nature. Go ahead and check it out when you get a chance. But that is such a unfortunate tally on the black men. And it's amazing that these cities, okay, that all the black people ran to in 1954 have turned out this way. Now, all the cities I named, New York, St. Louis, all of them, the majority of those cities, and I'm just going to say it's just like how it is. They are run by Democrats, okay, by liberals. Most of those cities have a very high crime rate in the black community. Most of those cities have a very high unemployment rate among black men specifically. Black people in general, black men specifically. You can look at it yourself. They are running, and that's the difference between 1954 and 1966 is when the perception that the Democrats were doing the work to help black people out, black people ran toward the Democratic Party, and this is what you get. Okay, and they think, and because of the lack of education and knowledge and information, or the desire to get information, they don't even realize that the majority of the Democrat Party voted against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The reason that passed, of course, Lyndon B. Johnson signed it, but was the Republican Party. Now, I'm not saying be a Republican or Democrat, because I'm not either. But I'm just telling you the facts. You can go look up that for yourself. A lot of people think, oh, you're a Republican because you're... No, I've never been a part of a party. You could call me a conservative, but most black men are conservative. We just don't vote that way, which is amazing. That's a whole different story. But this is the things that we're dealing with. And we got people running this country in the ground. I just saw the mayor of Chicago. Their hotels are at 50% capacity, meaning people don't want to go to Chicago. I'm from Chicago. I don't want to go there. I want to see my father. I'm scared to go there, take my wife. She doesn't know anything there. They're violent. I knew of a gentleman, one of the guys that works for me. He had a friend that went to Chicago to visit his family, was there less than a year, was killed. I mean, it's atrocious. And these are the people that are running these cities in the ground. Take that information as you will. Do it if you want to. Comment if you want. It doesn't matter to me. It's the truth. You can get mad or whatever you want to. It is the truth. They're running in the ground. Baltimore, the same situation. Cleveland, the same. Look at Philadelphia. Oh my God, the drug issue there is amazing. There. Los Angeles, you know about Los Angeles, okay? New York, come on now. We can go down the list. New Orleans, I've been there. Come on now. Washington, D.C. All of this, high crime, high unemployment for black people. Everybody else is doing fine. Black people, no. Why is it? Why is it? Why? I believe it's because we have the wrong place, people in the right positions. We have the wrong people in the right positions. We keep putting the wrong people in the right positions, thinking that they're going to change. And they keep doing the same thing over and over. And we're seeing it again in this country. Say what you want to say. This administration has run down this country in less than a year. And you know it. You're feeling it in your pocketbook. And this is what we have. This is what has killed the black family. And we're still fighting each other. We're still going at each other. And it's amazing. I'll throw his name out there again. Kevin Samuels, like him or hate him, he was trying to get us back together. Unfortunately, he died. And they still going after him. And he's dead. Been dead almost 3 weeks now. So 3 weeks. I think he has been dead 3 weeks. It's amazing. So this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're going through, ladies and gentlemen. We have to do something to change it. I want to change it. I've been wanting to change it. I want to help black men. I'm telling black men, groom yourself, dress better. Go to some of the guys that I have working. They come to work wrinkled. It's amazing. It's amazing because they're just not being raised. They're not being trained. And we got to train our black men to be better. Not just husbands. That's the second part. We got to train them to be men first. A real man. And then they can get some real women, get some real wives. But we have to do that first. Well, before I leave, I'm going to give you one scripture. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 10. And we're going to start at verse 5. I'll put it on the screen for you. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 5. It says right here, it says, therefore, there is an evil that I've seen under the sun, as it were an error proceeding from the ruler or people in charge. Folly is set in many high places, and the rich sit in a low place. I have seen slaves on horses and princes walking on the ground like slaves. We're going to go down to verse 16. Look at this. Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child, or when your king is a novice, and your princes feast in the morning. But happy are you, O land, when your king is the son of nobility, and your princes feast at the proper time for strength and not for drunkenness. Look at verse 18. Through sloth, the roof sinks in, and through indolence, the house leaks. Isn't that amazing? This is what we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, in our country, unfortunately, right now. High gas prices. High food. We can't even get baby formula. I have never seen anything like that before. This is ridiculous. But our black community is silent. They're not complaining. They're not saying, they might talk around each other, but they're scared to say anything. Don't say you're against them, because you're going to get lambasted. You're going to get put down. They're going to be calling you a coon and Uncle Tom. Hey, we need people with some backbones and a pair and get up and start taking charge. We got some men coming up in YouTube. You see them all. They're getting attacked. I'm coming up to help them out. Look, we're not going to stand idly by and let these people ruin our country and ruin black men. Black men, let's stand up together. Hey, other nationalities, I don't want to put you guys away. You can stand up with us. You see what's going on. You could help out, but you're standing there idly by. You got to do something too. In Jesus' name. All right. Well, I'm done for today. I hope you got a little bit out of this. I hope you look at it, share it. You know, if you want to be a part of this, hit the subscribe button, join us, hit the bell so you get notifications, okay? At the kitchen table, we put out a video every week or twice a week when I have time. All right, God bless you all. I'll see you again next time.